Me, Mario. Yahoo! Woohoo! Let's go. Let's have fun. Nintendo. Oh yeah.
Alrighty, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Nintenbros here, Fridays at 9, here on Radio WUMD. My name is Chris.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome to our fantastic show this great Friday in October. So today we have a nice feature of the Breath of the Wild CD, a collection of the music from the game, which I have just begun for you guys. So that's going to be playing in the background today. I'd like to welcome Josh back to the show. He was off last week, and I want to say a great thank you to Noah for coming in and filling in for Josh. It was great that he did that, and I really appreciate it. I'm actually going to be talking with Josh probably later today about maybe having Noah come on as a regular host and kind of turn our duo into a trio.
Mm-hmm. Great to be back. It was fun with the SNES, getting that in line and everything, and going and making sure I have one, unlike everyone else who unfortunately waited. Now you gotta pretty much order from another country right now to get a SNES. So if you missed out, unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait, in the US at least, for a little more while until they get a restock back in, which should be a little bit closer to the holidays. Nintendo did say that they're going to be shipping out a little bit more of them before the holiday season for those who did not get it as well right now.
Alright, and just a little bit of a recap. Last couple weeks of shows are going to be going up on YouTube. I believe the one from 2 weeks ago went up about a half an hour ago, and last week's show should be up probably by noon today. So go ahead, if you guys missed last week's show or a couple weeks' shows, go ahead and go on YouTube. You guys can catch up on what we talked about in the past month or so. Wow, it really has been a month.
Pretty much,
that's so cool. 1 month in, woohoo! So, of course, as always, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. We have our Facebook page, Nintenbros, and we are Nintenbros Show on YouTube.
Yep. And just so everyone knows, just like I say at every show, beginning of every show, we are not endorsed by Nintendo. Our views are simply our own. We're just two guys who are really passionate about the company and where they have taken the video game industry in general, but we are not endorsed by them. Alrighty. Going to get started for today. One of the big topics we're going to be talking about today would be Super Mario Odyssey coming out here at the end of the month. Coming out. And one of the big games that people are looking forward to with the Switch. Glad that's going to be coming out here soon. So we did get a bunch of new information coming out from these videos that Nintendo has just released, as well as some of the videos that they shipped over to the Japan audience. There is some stuff that they showed them that they haven't shown us just yet, but we're going to be talking about that today.
So, of course, this is something we already knew from way back in E3, I believe, which was the game ditching the life system, so there's no longer the thing of collecting those 1-ups, which is a shame, because now we see one of those iconic items kind of going to the wayside now. And with that, with the ditching the life system, so instead of losing lives, you actually lose coins now. And then, of course, these coins are the currency in the game, so you can use them to buy different costumes from Mario, or different different stickers in the game, so that you can put them on your Odyssey ship.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the creators had stated in one of the interviews is, they didn't really want to go ahead and do a life system because they felt that there was going to be, a hard problem with restart points in terms of something like that. Because this world that Mario is going to be in is huge, so they felt that it wasn't absolutely necessary to implement, so they wanted to kind of try something different and go ahead and do just the coins instead of Mario losing lives, which I think it's something that Nintendo, with everything they've done, it's something a little different. I'm not going to be losing lives that much anyhow, so I'm not particularly worried about that. But And
on the same side of it, with Super Mario Odyssey, it's really more of a world traveling type of a game instead of being like classic Super Mario, where you have worlds, you have levels. Even with Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario 64. While they're great big open worlds,
you still had that hub.
There were still hub worlds. There were still levels. So you still had that world type of a situation going on. So it made sense with those lives. With Super Mario Odyssey, it's a lot more like Zelda, where you have open world you have to explore, as opposed to set structure of levels that you have to complete.
So. And now Nintendo does have the website up and running for Super Mario Odyssey. You can check there. They have the new trailers that have come out. Which ones were pretty much updated from E3. You can check in the trailers. It actually has a lot better lighting and detail than the one that we saw at E3. Things look very good, actually. I was surprised at the amount of detail that the Switch is going to be able to enhance the game with, comparatively to the first trailer that we saw, which is really cool because just looking at if you looked at the pictures between Peach, between the two different trailers, you saw a significant amount of lighting and the detail just within her, and it was that was actually pretty cool. I was very surprised. I'm kind of happy that obviously since we have less than a month before launch, that everything's all good with it. But
it's the 27th that it launches, right?
Yeah.
So 3 weeks away, basically.
So glad that was cool.
Yeah. 3 weeks away.
Yeah, I can't believe that already. Yeah.
Where's my money going to go? I know exactly where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Nintendo, I'm coming for you. You'll have your money for Super Mario Odyssey at one point. Be it for a Christmas gift or be it my own personal purchase, it's gonna happen. You're gonna get money for Super Mario Odyssey from somebody linked to me in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. And with me, you're gonna be throwing in extra money towards those amiibos as well, and they've stated that the amiibos are going to unlock exclusive outfits, while others will provide the help. And Nintendo did say that the outfits can be unlocked without the amiibo, which is always good for those who aren't going to be shelling out the extra money to go and grab them. But at the same time, for those who buy it, you kind of get a little bit of incentive. You don't have to worry about going and searching for all that stuff too. Kind of like how they're doing with Skyrim. If you have the Breath of the Wild amiibos, you can unlock unlock the costumes there and pretty quickly. But they do have the costumes as well in the game for those who want to explore and get it without the amiibo. So it's good for those who aren't into the whole craze as much as others.
Mm-hmm. And then the map on the website does show off all the different kingdoms that are available. There's a 2-player ability where one player will control Cappy and the other controls Mario.
Which is something that I'm kind of happy they brought back, because I did enjoy with Super Mario Galaxy how you'd be able to control Luma as a second player. So it's something that if you have a younger sibling or whatever, or even just a friend to kind of go through the adventure with you, you have the ability to go ahead and do the 2 players, which is always nice.
But one thing that I am curious about is how they're going to implement that mechanically with controllers. Are they going to do what they've done in the past with, 2 Joy-Cons, you'll each hold one sideways, or are they going to just do it like each character has a full control set, and one controls one and one controls the other? That'll be interesting to see what you do with that implementation.
I want to say that it was the 2 Joy-Cons, but I'm pretty sure you'll be able to go ahead and customize the way you play anyhow with most of those controllers. But I'm not particularly positive on that, but I'd have to go and check on that, definitely.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be the former rather than the latter, but anything is possible. This is Nintendo.
And there was a cool new video that it showed kind of how the hints are going to be giving into the game for those who are looking for it. To find the power moons in Super Mario Odyssey, there's kind of like little blue arrows that kind of point you in the right direction. I won't be necessarily needing that. I won't be using that, but for those that need the help, it's actually a pretty cool implication of how they kind of actually just point you in the right direction. They don't give you specifics, but they kind of give you a general area where you need to go. Glad that it's going to be a game that everybody's going to be able to play, no matter what age, and you're still going to be able to have a lot of fun.
That's very much a standard Nintendo thing, honestly. So next we've got Odyssey Mobile, which, no, it's not another app. No, you don't have to clog up your memory. No, it's actually an event that they're going to be doing across the country over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be starting in Los Angeles at Universal City Walk on October 10th, and it's going to end in New York on October 26th, one day before the release of Super Mario Odyssey, which they've kind of timed pretty well. They're compressing things, so the people who are running it are definitely going to be tired. They are going to be exhausted, but they'll be able to travel the country. You as a visitor will be able to experience things like meeting Mario wearing Cappy, take photos with him, and his decked-out trailer, and get hands-on time with Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch. So they're definitely plugging a lot of the things that they did back in when the Switch was launching, when they did that tour of the country to celebrate the launch of the Switch as well.
No, it's pretty cool because Mario is really going on his own adventure throughout the country. He's going to be, stopping, 5 major stops: L.A., Dallas, Chicago, Philly, and New York. And along the way, Nintendo has said that, Mario is going to stop along the way throughout each stops and take some photos like he's on his real Odyssey. So they're really getting into it. Glad that Nintendo has still got these cool ideas that are able to bring the game to around the country and stuff like that.
One thing I want to see, though, and this would be something that's really interesting, he needs to stop in Detroit, take a picture of Joe Lewis's fist, just stand there, and I swear to you, people will go nuts over that. Like, right on Jefferson Avenue, like, it'll be on the news. It's going to be, like, it's going to be huge.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so who knows? I mean, Nintendo did say just follow them on their Twitter, Instagram, and their Tumblr to, follow out where Mario's heading out next in terms of his stops along the way between these 5 major cities. So who knows? Maybe he will stop in Detroit. We'll see. Definitely.
Right. So next we've got some news about Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. They've got the website up now, so we've got more information about that. They've kind of updated the website with some new information about the game. So you'll be actually able to ride on the backs of the legendary Pokemon Solgaleo and Lunala to travel through the Ultra Wormhole and reach the worlds that lie beyond. So it's pretty interesting. They're kind of continuing that trend of, using the legendary Pokemon as your liaison in a way to travel between the dimensions of the Pokemon world and the Ultra universe.
Which is actually pretty cool. I'm glad that they are expanding that, because in Sun and Moon we only kind of got a glimpse into this world, through the Ultra Wormholes. We only got a glimpse through there for just a few minutes. Now we're going to be able to, through traveling through the wormhole, you're going to go to this place called Ultra Megalopolis, which has its light stolen by the Pokemon. I have no idea how to pronounce that.
Necrozma.
Whatever. Necrozma. Yeah. And they're within that city. They have this huge, mysterious tower where all the light has been stolen. And the website indicates that apparently something or someone possibly waits atop it. So who knows what we'll be able to find in there. Especially with the introduction of the Ultra Recon Squad, which is a mysterious group that is going to be kind of like how Team Skull was in Sun and Moon. They're going to be your enemies in this game, and you're going to be fighting them to figure out what purpose they have, to coming for the Alola region. They all have UB Adhesive, which is a poison type Pokemon that they're going to be fighting with against you, as well as in each game you have UB Burst and UB Assembly. And
if I remember correctly, UB Burst was exclusive to Ultra Sun, and then UB Assembly was Ultra Moon. Not 100% sure on that, but if memory serves properly, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to mention that's pretty interesting that they're doing is, for the first time I think in this series, we're seeing the sequel games having a new evil team involved in the game, rather than just being the previous evil team kind of just rehashing themselves and kind of reinventing themselves. You've seen that with Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, where you had Team Galactic. They were the primary. You had Black and White 2, it was Team Plasma, and it was Plasma in one form. They kind of disbanded in Black and White and came back in Black and White 2 as like this new thing that they are. And it's pretty interesting that they're changing it up now, because even with X and Y, even though they didn't have sequels, you still had Team Flare, and they were the primary enemies throughout the entire game. So it's pretty interesting that they're changing that up and finally breaking trend with more than just the gyms. They're breaking trend with even the enemy teams and saying, hey, yeah, we can do a new story with a new evil team. We don't have to rehash something and like shoehorn the current evil team into the new thing and call it a day.
Yeah, definitely breaking the mold with Pokemon. Glad that they're doing that. It kind of brings new lighting into these stories that they can tell, for the Pokemon world, which is always good. So, a little bit of mystery here with the Ultra Recon Squad, but we'll have to see when we get the games coming out here soon.
Yep, I think they're a little over a month away at this point. But next thing on our docket, we have the Nintendo World Championships, which start tomorrow, and they run, and actually that's 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the evening. So we'll have 24 players competing with past and present Nintendo titles, both in 2 different age brackets. I'm assuming probably the under 18s and the over 18s.
Well, they're all coming together until they.
Oh, it's one big conglomerate?
Yes, it's one big conglomerate. They went and decided that, in order to get some younger players to the stage for the final competition, they did it in 2 brackets for the competition when you were at the different Best Buys and the different events that they had across the country for this, the World Championship. So that way we are going to see some younger faces here at the World Championship, which is actually pretty cool. I'm glad that Nintendo kind of broke it up that way. So that way, the younger kids still have a chance to go and win that gold Mario statue. And, but,
I think one thing that's interesting, too, is that we might even be able to see a situation, even aside from them doing that, there was a situation they could have introduced where a young kid could have just made his way through the brackets, yeah. But it's nice that they're doing that, so we have more of a chance of seeing more youthful faces rather than those who are not like you and me, who have no time on our hands other than playing the games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be pretty interesting. So Samus Returns is one of the titles that's going to be played at the World Championships, which is pretty interesting that they're putting such a new game into the tournament that really nobody has had a chance to delve into fully.
Yeah. Other than the people that have played, Samus Returns, on the original Game Boy for, back in the day, Return of Samus, actually, sorry. But, even still, it is a new game with newer mechanics, so it is going to be interesting. Glad they are kind of bringing her, Samus, into the spotlight with this competition. I have a feeling that we'll probably see ARMS, actually, in this competition. I'm hoping...
It would be silly if they didn't do that in that and Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 1 because those are standard competitive games.
I think definitely Splatoon 2. I'm excited to see kind of some other games that they might bring into the competition because, last year we got to see Mario Maker, which was actually pretty cool coming into this competition with some of the levels that they had, Nintendo had made for the championship. So I'm kind of excited to see what they'll bring back and what games we'll see. We might see something with I don't know, maybe Breath of the Wild. Maybe do some give them an objective and give them a time frame and say, hey, here you go, beat this Guardian and you have a stick. That's all you get. Here you go. Here's a Guardian. Have fun.
That would be mean on so many levels, but.
Nintendo does know how to throw the punches in terms of these competitions, so we'll see.
And honestly, I think one thing too with the release of the SNES Classic 2, we might see Star Fox 2. That'd be something, a mission from Star Fox 2.
That would be, I think that might be a thing. I was just about to say that I had a feeling that they might be throwing out some of the SNES games just because of the fact that is something that is of very recent times that everyone's excited for.
It's old timey stuff, but it's recent old timey stuff. So it's new old stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of the SNES, we're talking about that right now. And my experience that I had last week, and kind of my little bit of review slash my experience in line and everything. So. I'm really happy that, even though it has less games than the NES, Classic Edition, it's got 21 games. All of them they are really cool. I do enjoy them. I think, the best one, obviously for me at least, is A Link to the Past. And then kind of going down the line, you got Super Mario World, Super Mario 2, Yoshi's Island, and, Donkey Kong Country is a really big one that I really love. I fell in love with the remake on the Game Boy Advance and beat that as a child. I don't know how, because those rail levels on the Donkey Kong Country games, if you've ever played them, are a pain. They're terrible. But, it's something that it's definitely something to put your mind towards and try to beat. It's definitely a good game. Some other ones that I do like to point out is Super Metroid, you got Kirby Superstar, and then Super Mario RPG, which I have not played before. Got started into that. I really do enjoy the game so far. It's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that.
I laugh because there's a thing in Super Mario RPG that there's one of the toads that's just jumping incessantly and it's really fast, and there's a way that you can get up on one of the dressers, I think, in one of the rooms and get on this toad and you can just stand on his head and you just woo, you just bounce a bunch of times. It's so funny. Because he's going as fast as the game would allow him to jump. That's how fast he's jumping. So you got to think this is it blurs. That's how fast it's going. That's the fun thing.
So kind of like the NES Classic Edition, you have all the manuals online, which are really cool because they are the original manuals for the game. They're all online for anyone to pretty much see and download as well. So glad that they're continuing that trend and having the scans in for all these manuals. They're really cool to see and very nostalgic in terms of being able to actually have a manual, because how many games nowadays have manuals to go back and kind of tell you how to play the game. You kind of get those tutorials in the game, but nothing really else other than that. It's this thing that I kind of miss now and again. Glad they have that for the SNES. +2 with the SNES. Glad that you got 2 controllers this time, and they are a little bit longer than you had with the NES. So definitely a plus to that. I'll shell out an extra $20 Nintendo, so that way I can get an extra controller that's a little bit longer. Glad that that's a thing. Another thing to point out too. That I'm I'm really happy about is you got a lot of good 2-player games. Almost half of the games are 2-player games, so that way, you get with your friend, you get together, and be able to play a lot of these games together. And there's actually a secret. If you go online and search up Game Explain on YouTube, they do have a full video that kind of explains how to do this. But both Yoshi's Island and Earthbound technically are 2-player games. With Yoshi's Island, through inputting a cheat code, you can unlock a 2-player mode in Yoshi's Island, which are like mini games within the game that you can play with somebody else, which is actually pretty cool. And then Earthbound, all you got to do really to do 2-player mode is just connect the second controller. It does mirror what what you would do with with player 1. But I mean, that could lead to some interesting gameplay for, like, if you and your buddy decide, hey, I'll be, Ness, you be the other character, we figure out how we're going to take on this adventure. So, technically a 2-player game, even though it would just take control of just one controller, but still something that could definitely be interesting in terms of playing Earthbound. So, and then I have to call out Game Explain one more time because it was kind of something that I actually did by accident, unfortunately.
Oh no!
Yeah, you have to worry about the save points within all the games on the SNES because there's 2 ways to save. You have the way that the game itself, when you're playing it, will save, and that is its own save system. But then you also have the save points that the suspended points, I'll call them, that you can go with in the SNES. And by loading the game from the icon, it'll be the in-game save file. But if you overload it with a suspend point that was further past that, it's going to override the in-game save data. So you have to. Make sure that when you are playing with the SNES, you're not alternating between the two, because that will, if you accidentally click one over the other, you might lose hours of gameplay there, unfortunately. So it's best just to stick to one way of saving in the game. I've just stayed to save points just because it's it's a little bit easier. Plus, you can save anywhere versus some of the SNES ones. You have to go ahead and
complete a certain amount of the game to get to a save point.
Yeah, so
my thing with that too is and this is something I'm surprised about, because this is something you see on the 3DS. Why didn't they disable save points and restore points for certain games, knowing that they've got save systems already implemented? That kind of, it gives you an opportunity to say you've got a boss that you really want to beat in one of the games, but you don't want to go through the hassle of saving the game and battling it because he's at the end of a level, like Supersonic Mania, where you have to go through the end of the entire Act 1 and Act 2. Mm-hmm. Or if you game over, you start back over at the beginning of the zone. So I can see where the restore points are justified, but at the same time, it's if there's a save system and that kind of thing can happen, why didn't you disable it in the first place? Mm-hmm. Because it's not hard. You could have just done it like you do with the 3DS and the Virtual Console. Because and on the Wii U, I've seen it happen. I just downloaded Silver last night, and the first thing it tells me is restore points are disabled for this game. Mm-hmm. For good reason.
Yeah, so that way you're not losing any of your progress. So something that I did have a problem a little bit with the SNES is that. But if you just stay to one way of saving, then you should be fine. You don't have to worry about it necessarily. So, just make sure that you're not alternating between the two of them, because if you do, you're probably gonna lose data, which is never good.
And just be very careful about it accidentally just creating a restore point and accidentally using the restore point.
Yeah.
That concerns me a little bit. I'm a little bit. I'm not pleased with that necessarily, but what are you going to do?
You just got to be smart about how you're saving the game, pretty
Yeah.
much. So, and my little story of everything with getting the SNES. So I ended up I thought I was going to get in line at Toys R Us, but I kind of passed by the Best Buy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm right over here. There's only a couple people in line. I'll stay right here. Plus, it was a little better of an area. It was well lit versus the Toys R Us I know is a little bit darker, so, don't want to be in the dark, ooky pokey, scary, So,
right.
I got there right around probably 10:15 p.m. I was third in line. There was a guy in front of me, though, that was technically third, but he left his chair there, and he was in the car, and I'm like, dude, nah, if you're going to stay in your car and use that as a spot, I
would have sat down in his chair.
Oh,
I'd have been like, yeah, there's a thing called move your feet, lose your seat.
Yeah, so, I mean, that guy, though, he got karma because he kept his car on too long, his battery on too long, so he had to go and get...
Oh, man.
AAA had to come out and start his battery.
His car.
He had jump his car. So
you could have just called me. I'd have been like, I'm on my way. I got jumper cables.
No, it was funny. So I mean, he got his comeuppance, I guess, and I got to be in front of him in line anyhow. So.
Let me rephrase. They're not my jumper cables. They're my dad's jumper cables, and I would have been like, hey, Dad, can I borrow your jumper cables? I gotta help Josh with his newfound friend.
But and another misadventure, I guess I would say, was. Most Best Buys were supposed to give out their tickets at 7 a.m. The one I was at didn't give it out to 8:30, so I was a little bit angry at the Best Buy for that. I mean, I ended up getting my SNES, obviously.
How many did they have in stock? I'm kind of curious.
81. Most of them. I had a guy in line that was convinced that there was probably like 100 because that's what the employees said. But I'm like, I don't trust any of them because. Who knows how many?
You and I know full well that the little thing on the computer will say, yeah, there's a thing coming on the truck, and then the truck comes on Tuesdays, and where's the thing?
Yeah,
that's so.
So that might be just their overall thing, and they might be getting those extra 19 of them later in the closer to holiday. That might be just that number that they're getting for the store. That's what I kind of figured because I'm like, oh well. I mean, at least there was 81, but they did. The SNES did end up pretty much going out by noon. It was sold out by noon that day. So I mean, if you weren't there,
well, at least it's not like right in the morning. It was at least something that some semblance of. If you got up early enough, you could at least still had a chance.
Mm-hmm. So. And while in line, I did get to talk to the next guy that was right behind me about talking about the SNES and just how it's kind of an emulator. And it was kind of weird because he was sitting there on his phone and he was playing A Link to the Past while we were waiting. And we kind of just started talking about emulators, which is kind of a quick debate that me and Chris are kind of going to go for pretty quickly here about emulators and how we feel about them. Chris is going to be kind of more or less against that. I'm going to be kind of for the emulators for on the smartphone and with Raspberry Pi and all of that. Chris, you want to start your kind of argument for them or no, against them? Sorry.
So my big thing with it is things of the advent of things like disc replay. You've got stuff like where you can at least go out and get a reasonable price for stuff like the SNES, the NES, the N64, and all the games that they've got. If you do enough research, you can generally find a good price for them. On top of that, you don't have to really worry about viruses on your computer or on your Raspberry Pi or on whatever you put on it, because most times when you're emulating, you have to download a ROM. But now, this is from experience. I've seen some of the sites that these emulators have the games on, and they don't look the most
safe,
comforting when it comes to protections of not having a virus or anything like that. And just for me in general, it's one of those things I'm not necessarily keen on the idea of taking that risk just so that I can play Super Mario World for free rather than just going out and buying it because I know there's like 5 places in the area that I can easily get it for less than $50.
Mm-hmm. My kind of argument for it, even though deep down I'm kind of against it, with some of these emulators, though, you're able to play, thousands of games right there on your computer for free, which is kind of another problem I have with it, because it's technically not, their right to sell it because it's not theirs, it's Nintendo's and all these other games, but, we're not going to give Chris that argument. But, you have all these different games with the emulators, and, for something like the SNES where you only get, 21 games, versus something that on my computer I can go on, pretty much connect any other controller to and be able to play all these games with, the controller of my choice through my computer, stuff like that. It's, it's free, Why do I have to pay, $80 for a game for 21 games when I can go and get it for free? But as Chris pointed out, and as I kind of pointed out, it's kind of illegal. You people are bad. Don't use emulators. But
and on the other side of it is too, you always run into that possibility that the file's corrupt,
mm-hmm.
and you can't play the game. You don't have to worry about that with the original hardware, because the original hardware, personally, I have a SNES that's sitting in my room that I have a couple games for. All I got to do is drop the game in. Occasionally, I have to clean the contacts on it, but I drop the game in there, turn the system on, and wing bang boom, I got game.
Mm-hmm.
I play game. My game work. It no break.
Yep.
I get why people go with the emulators, just because, again, they want to save the money, and 2, it's convenient, and 9 times out of 10, with your computer is 10 times more powerful than any of the systems that you're emulating, so you don't have to worry about lag, and you don't have to worry about finding those obscure connectors that you have to plug into your computer, or plug into your TV. But again, do I really want to risk ruining my computer that I use for, school or other things?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes both ways, and I can see arguments for both sides, so...
To each his own with emulators, I guess.
Yep.
Alrighty, on to next topics. We're going to be kind of going through these pretty quickly here. We have Super Mario Run, which they talked about a little bit beforehand, with the Remix 10 being adapted into the app as a new update. You get to go through 10 levels pretty quickly, just a short version, a very, very short version of a bunch of different levels that they've made, and you get to go through them pretty quickly, and through that you get to unlock Daisy after you beat the whole thing with that, and it's a pretty cool way of actually just kind of giving a new life to the app and keep it interesting for a lot of people. And Nintendo of America is actually holding a retweet event on Twitter, and then if their tweet gets 5,000 retweets, you get a Daisy statue, and if it comes out to 10,000, we'll all get a golden Daisy statue. So, everyone, come on, go ahead to Nintendo of America and retweet, because I want my statues.
So. Now, here's my question: Do we get one or the other?
You get both.
You get both? Okay.
Yeah, if we get if we get the 10,000, then we get both. I mean, obviously for 5,000, we only get the one, but
that works. I mean.
Yeah, they've done this before with some other ones, so everyone hit up your tweets and go and retweet that. Another quick topic, which kind of makes me a little bit angry, though I'm happy it's there, EA, for the FIFA 18 with the Switch. I'm glad it's there, I'm glad we got the third party, but I'm kind of mad at them because it doesn't allow you to play online with your friends in terms of matchmaking. You can only really do that through local play, which is something that I'm kind of a little bit mad at EA for. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why to be mad at EA, because they're a money-grubbing, loving company that shells out DLC upon DLC upon DLC, Star Wars Battlefront. But at the same time, it's like, come on, you gotta why can't I play with my friend on FIFA Online?
And the other thing is, I have a friend in the UK who's really big into soccer and football in general, and I was really kind of excited with FIFA 18 because it was like one of those things I was going to sell the Switch to them with and say, hey, we can play this together on the Switch. But with this, now it's just like, well, what's the point? I mean, I'm still kind of interested in FIFA 18. I might pick it up still, but it's just like, I was really looking forward to the opportunity to at least be able to play something with my friend overseas who's really into football and really into that stuff, and it's just like, why? Why?
That's EA. So I mean, they went out and came out with a statement saying that it offers local play, and they pretty much said to they encouraged everyone to compete online with their online modes, but like you can't really compete with your friends unless you get really lucky in terms of their matchmaking. So
the next thing we wanted to talk about was Miiverse. You probably have heard some semblance of Miiverse is dying and it's going to be going away. Officially, it's going to end on November 7th, so we have a little more than a month as of the recording of this episode. And there is a special community that has opened up until next Wednesday called Everybody's Message Community, where you can only draw hand-drawn posts. You can only post a hand-drawn post, and it will recollect the memories of the service. And what Nintendo will do with that is they'll put a collage together of everything that everybody posts. So that's something that's a little bit nice as an homage to give the Miiverse a good send-off. On the other side of it, why didn't they continue with the Switch? Because it would have exploded if they kept it on the Switch. I
was really enjoying Miiverse because it was nice seeing, especially like you got games like Splatoon 2 where you get to see all these different like drawings and stuff that these very creative people that I can't draw worth crap, but you got to see all these different drawings and stuff from these people, and especially like Smash Bros that implemented the Miiverse stage. It was really cool to see all these different people posting all these different things in the background while you're playing with a certain character. So I got to cheer you on and all the different messages, and it was really cool to see. But sad to see it go.
It's also really funny to watch when you're playing Smash on that Miiverse level and somebody's random. I think we had more fun playing that stage by reading the messages than we did
actually play the game. Yep.
Yeah. So next thing on our list we wanted to talk about briefly was Stardew Valley coming onto the Switch. That is exciting in every way, shape, and form because it's really nice that Stardew Valley is officially mobile. Woo!
Yeah, it was launched yesterday, which is October 5th. On Switch. It's only $14.99. First time that the series is on Nintendo console, as well as being, pretty portable there. So, two firsts there for that, which is actually pretty cool. Glad that that's finally a thing for the Switch.
And I personally love Stardew Valley. I have it on the PC. It was gifted to me by a friend, and I've been playing that here and there. I haven't played it recently just because I've been so busy, but on the other side of it, the nice thing is I just really enjoy the game. It's very calming, and you lose track of time when you play it. A lot of the times I've found that I've gotten into a groove where I get into the mine and I'm mining for stuff, and then all of a sudden it's 3 hours later and I'm like, oh, okay. So it's kind of along the same lines of Breath of the Wild, where you can get into Breath of the Wild, start playing Breath of the Wild, and then it's 3 hours later.
Definitely. Yeah. Some cool things that are coming out in terms of stuff for Nintendo. You got the Golden Joystick Awards coming out, and Breath of the Wild was nominated for Game of the Year. It's currently stacked against the likes of Persona 5 and Horizon Zero Dawn for Best Visual Design. Breath of the Wild was also nominated for Nintendo Game of the Year, as well as.
I get that one without any doubt.
Well, I don't know, because it is alongside Super Mario Odyssey, and those are both nominated as well for Ultimate Game of the Year. So the voting goes until November 17th. So you're going to have time for people to vote for either Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey. I have a feeling few more people will be going and voting for Odyssey, but I mean, as graphs have shown, most people that did get the Switch did get Breath of the Wild and have Breath of the Wild. So, I mean, that is definitely a game that, most people that have gotten the Switch, are playing.
And
so,
Odyssey has got some stiff competition with Breath of the Wild.
So, I mean, Nintendo has definitely brought their A game for this year in terms of, launch titles for the Switch. These are both games that everyone has been asking for and waiting for, and both are going to be, we haven't seen Odyssey yet in terms of gameplay. We haven't played it yet, but we already know that it's going to be a great Mario game. Glad to be getting that here soon. Nintendo actually, the EPD is actually up for Studio of the Year for work on both of these games, which is really cool. And like I said, voting is already underway and will continue until November 3rd, with the final results being announced on November 17th. So go ahead and go and vote for Nintendo, or whoever you want for the Golden Joystick Awards. But as I'll be doing, I'll be voting a lot for Breath of the Wild, because what a great Zelda game.
So quick point, Pokken Tournament's got some cool new codes for the avatars for clothing, so you can customize your avatar a little bit more with those codes. Those have been released. One thing that Nintendo's PR is all over the place with this one. I swear, it's like you get a couple good points with Nintendo, and then you get something like this. Mm-hmm. So Nintendo is ending the creator program
for live
streams. Yep. Basically, what the program does is that it was a program created in 2015 for Nintendo to get part of the profits from people's videos. You had to be part of the program to, get ad revenue from Nintendo videos. Otherwise, you'd get copyright striked all the time, because, Nintendo's not really handling that very well either. And you basically have to either A, create an entirely separate account that is not part of the creators program to live stream on YouTube, or
just opt out of it completely.
Just opt out of the program completely, which is another. But it's really, why is this a thing? This is 2007. Why is this a thing? I don't get it. It's not that bad if somebody is looking to get some support from Nintendo with some ads, simple ads, mind you, just things like that, and they're getting struck down because of it.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. When I first heard about this program with Nintendo on YouTube, I'm like, come on, Big N, you got enough of my amiibo money. You don't need 50 cents out of my video on YouTube.
Really, yeah. It's like, it's a nominal amount. It's like 25 cents a video. It's 50 cents a video.
They're not making.
You're not really making
that much
money. It's like a certificate of deposit that you put in, and you get 90 cents at the end of 2 years.
Congratulations!
You're a whole dollar richer.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, that is one thing with Nintendo that I've kind of been very disappointed about, is their whole YouTube program. It's, and especially, I understand kind of with live streams is because of the fact that you can say anything at any given point and they can't stop you from doing that because it is live. But at the same time, Nintendo, you gotta stop being as stingy with your...
The hammer needs to be... You need to hold back the hammer. Let's be honest. You gotta hold back that hammer a little bit.
We already, we want to play your games. We want to show off your games. Let us do that. Don't copyright strike us. Don't let us not be able to be, partners with you. That'd be, that's cool. But you're making it so that way, people are really not liking your program here. So Nintendo, as a word of advice, rethink your YouTube program, because this is definitely something that a lot of people are looking at and saying, why? Come on.
And again, we're in a modern sphere. The internet's been around for many years. It's kind of... Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. So, alrighty. One article that me and Chris had looked at and thought it was pretty cool was this guy actually has pretty much all the games for the Switch that have been that came out already this year on his Switch. Filled up pretty much the whole 32 gigabytes on the Switch. But there is, the Switch itself has a great way to archive the games and then kind of re-download them later, so that way you can save some, space. I was reading the article and I was kind of looking at it and I'm like, oh, guy, why are you downloading them? Because I'm more of a physical cartridge type of guy. I mean, I downloaded a couple games here and there. I got like Snipper Clips and then like a couple other, and then I did like the demos and stuff.
I downloaded, I've got digital versions of Shovel Knight and Sonic Mania. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple digital games on there. It's not the fact that it's not the digital physical argument, because there's really no argument there. It's just the fact that it's 32 gigabytes on a system, on a console, on a console where everybody else has been 500, 1 terabyte, and more for
a while now. It's
been probably about 5 or 6 years that I've seen consoles that have been 500 to 1 terabyte in terms of storage. I get the side of it that it's like the flash storage is expensive, because it really is, because I have a 128 gigabyte flat micro SD card that's $40. Mm-hmm. A 256 is double that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I see where it's coming from. They wanted to keep the cost down, but why didn't they implement, like, put in the dock like an extra, maybe another memory drive, system, be it a hard drive or a solid state drive or whatever.
I mean, the Switch itself can take a 128 micro SD card, but I mean,
it actually claims they can take up to a 2 terabyte, which doesn't exist yet. Yeah. But on the other side of it, it's just like it's again another thing that Nintendo, we're in the modern era. Why is the memory so small comparatively? Because these games are not small games by any means. It's basically telling me as the consumer, I have to buy physical because I don't have any other option otherwise.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with buying digital.
I don't mind buying physical, but I'm like, it's for those people who are like on the fence that don't want to spend the money for a physical thing that they can lose.
Yeah.
That they want to go full digital, and it's just
come on, Chris! You want to lick all those cartridges. You want to. That's the best part about getting the physical ones, is you get to lick all the cartridges and taste the nastiness that they put on those little cartridges.
Which, by the way, it does get on your hands. I have noticed, and I have gone to played my games, switched a couple games, and then I'll go get a sandwich or something, and then I'll bite into the sandwich. And I'll be like, oh, because it got on my hands, and I touched the bun, and it's
But no, definitely something that is definitely interesting in terms of something to talk about with Nintendo. But I mean, I mean, it's kind of good that you can still put the micro SD card in, but at the same time, it's like, why is it so small?
Why do I have to do it after I put 5 games on my system?
Yeah. So, I mean...
And believe me, it is frustrating to do that, because I had an Xbox 360. Mm-hmm. I had a 360 that was 4 gigabytes.
Oh, really?
4.
But, some quick news right before we close up the show here. Professor Layton actually has, the game coming out today. For the new Layton game with his daughter, the Mystery Journey coming out today. And there has been rumors about the new Layton game coming out summer of next year, of 2018, and a TV series actually in the works, 26 episodes, supposed to premiere sometime in 2018. If we hear anything more, we'll let you know. But it's something that that we see on a lot of the Nintendo consoles, and for the 3DS at least. So it's something pretty cool that as much as we don't really see a lot of video game type media, in terms of TV shows, other than Pokemon or something.
Right.
It's something kind of
cool.
Or
Beyblade or something of that nature.
Yeah.
The Yokai Watch has an anime.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see where they bring that out. It could be Netflix or
who knows?
Hulu. Maybe even a network might pick it up. Well, who knows? It'd be interesting to see what comes out of that.
So, one other game kind of announced for the 3DS soon that a lot of people are interested in is a new Harvest Moon game, where in the beginning of the game you'll be able to choose between liking animals or fishing. they've stated that Street Pass is also going to be supported, so you can be trading between players. And it's called Harvest Moon: The Tale of Two Towns. It's going to be going on in sale in Japan on December 14th. No word on localization yet, but we'll be hearing about that pretty soon here. And kind of one more topic to kind of wrap up the show. For all you Final Fantasy lovers out there, they're creating a book out there, Ultimania Archive, which is going to have 3 different volumes coming in June of 2018. It's going to cover the first 6 entries of the Final Fantasy series, all the concept art, the pieces, all the notes from the original artists and designers, over 300 pages. It's going to be priced right around $40. You can pre-order that now. And today, too, another game that comes out today. One more thing. You got Mario & Luigi's Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions that launches today. And I'll be going and grabbing my Goomba and Koopa amiibos for that. So, look forward to playing that here pretty soon. So,
all right. So that about wraps up everything that we want to talk about today. As always, we thank you guys for listening into our show. Next week we will see what we'll have coming for the news and topics and things of that nature. And if all goes well, we'll see. There's a possibility we might be a trio next week. We'll see what happens there. Josh and I will talk about it, and I'll probably get the paperwork sorted out to possibly do that. But other than that, thank you guys for listening in. I'm Chris.
And I'm Josh.
And we are the Nintenbros.
Remember to game on!